everybody, Dr. Phil Carracher here, and I'm out on one of my favorite islands in the whole wide world. This is Gasparilla Island, and we're in an area called Boca Grande. This is where the Gulf of Mexico feeds water in through the Peace River into the harbor where I live. And I like to come out here occasionally and just wipe, civilization and everyday life off of me and just come out here and enjoy nature. Today, I didn't really have anything in mind that I wanted to talk about, but I do remember that I mentioned that I was going to be talking more about mindfulness in a previous video, and that's kind of what I'm going to address right now. I was very fortunate back in the 80s to be part of a group that worked with people with AIDS. Now, when I say people with AIDS, it's because they all were diagnosed with AIDS, because back then we really had no test for it. The only way that you knew you had AIDS is if you already presented some symptoms. I've had many teachers along the course of my life. As I told you before, there was a woman named Mary. I'm going to be talking about some more in later videos. But right now, I want to talk about this group of teachers that I had in my life. And the thing that really was sad about it is that the lesson that I learned was something that most of them didn't learn until they were diagnosed with AIDS. And that is to live each moment as though it's going to be your last one, because one of these days it's going to be, and you don't get to pick which one it is. And see, the whole thing about it is that they were diagnosed with what was called then a terminal disease, because back in those days, it's not if you were going to die from AIDS, it was when you were going to die. And it wasn't the AIDS that you died from, it was the complications, the opportunistic infections that you died from. But what we all don't realize, or many of us don't realize, is that we all have a terminal illness. From the time the sperm meets the egg and it makes the connection, we have a terminal illness. It's called life. We're all going to die, and we don't know when. We have no idea. I had a really good friend that went to Spain on vacation, had just retired from his job at a very young age, and was on a tour bus and stepped off the bus, tripped on a rock, hit his head on a cement slab, and died. You just never know when it's going to be your turn. I want to talk about another teacher I had. She was a manicurist in a salon where I used to get my hair cut. I loved this woman. She was a biker. Her name was Linda. And she had a very, very boisterous tone about her voice. And it, when she talked, the whole salon could hear what she was saying. And I don't know what she was discussing with somebody, but I heard her bust out going, "Look, I'm here for a good time, not for a long time." Now, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I will tell you this, I'm kind of surprised that I'm here right now, because there were several incidences where I should have been dead by all account, and I'm not. So we just never know when we're going to go. So the thing that I really want to encourage you is to live in this moment, and that means focus on where you're at right now. For example, if your mind is racing, which we all have that tendency to do. I told you, we're all full of shit fairies and boogeymen. When your mind starts racing, pick something up that you can focus on. Like, for example, just this little piece of shell right here has so many things of detail that we could look at. And just looking at the veins of it, the color, the shades, the hues, everything in here, all of the grains that are in this shell, the shape of the shell itself, just study that and focus it, because it's humanly impossible to think about two things at the same time and pay 100% attention to one. And where you put your attention is where you'll put your energy. So if you focus your attention on being here in this moment, the rest of it is pushed aside. Now, here's the problem. See, we've been conditioned to live in the past or the future. We've been conditioned. And those are based on subconscious brain parts. And I'm going to get into that later with the science I told you about. I touch on that later. But I just want you to think for a minute about how you got out of bed this morning. I bet you don't even remember exactly how you did it, because you did it automatically. Your body just automatically responds. Well, that's a built-in mechanism for us to save energy, because things that we don't have to think about saves energy. When we consciously think, we use more of our energy than we do when we're not. But at the same time, when we don't think, we set ourselves up. I like to tell people that, when we were quadrupeds, our feelings, which are in our bodies, and our thoughts, which are in our brains, were at a level, okay? But when we started to walk upright, our brains became on top. And just like, let me show you this. That's a lighthouse right there. Just like that lighthouse, that light is on top for a reason. It's to direct and to guide. And that's what our brains are set up to do, direct and guide, our conscious brains. But we have to use them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a few suggestions to you. We all have our routines. I call them ruts, because if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, we're living in the past. And for many of us, we continue to do the same thing over and over again, hoping something different's going to happen. And it's not. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. So what I'm going to suggest is tomorrow morning when you get out of bed, I want you to think how you can get out of bed differently. Now, please don't misunderstand me. This doesn't take anything dramatic, okay? If you have someone laying next to you, you can do this without even disturbing them. I've been practicing this now for years and years and years, and I guarantee you, I get out of bed differently, and my spouse doesn't even know I'm up, okay? It's about thinking and then taking the action. So even if you think about, well, let me see, I think I'm going to wiggle my pinky finger before I get out of bed this morning, you're starting to put your brain in action, okay? Also, what I'm going to recommend you do is consciously brush your teeth, mindfully brush your teeth. Be in the moment when you brush your teeth instead of just brushing your teeth thinking about where you got to go. Because I promise you, if you would pay attention to your body automatically knows where to start to brush your teeth. So what I'm going to suggest you do is to pick a different tooth. Start brushing it a different way. And every once in a while, if you're not ambidextrous, but even if you are, switch it up. Change hands. Now, the reason I say if you're not ambidextrous, if you are ambidextrous, this will not be a big deal to you, but I'm not ambidextrous. And I promise you, to this day, I still have to really think hard about moving my hand a certain way when I'm brushing my teeth. That wakes up your conscious brain, okay? That's what gets you thinking. That's why you're upright. So the thoughts can go into the feelings, so your thoughts are controlling your feelings instead of your feelings controlling your thoughts. Your thoughts are now controlling your life instead of your feelings controlling your life, okay? These are just a few simple tips. There's one more that I'm going to suggest you do. Pay attention to yourself in the shower, because I promise you, once you wet yourself down, you're not there anymore. You shower yourself, you rinse off, and you know you're clean, but you don't know what you did because you're thinking about something else. See, you don't have to think to shower, all right? Because your body already memorized what it's supposed to do. So now what I'm going to suggest you do, and if you need to put a sign up in the shower, please do this. I mean, I have signs up everywhere because I'm human. I forget to do these things myself. But ask yourself every 5 seconds, am I in the shower? Am I in the shower? Because the minute you ask yourself, you pull yourself back in. Any routine that you have, if you drink coffee in the morning and you drink it out of a favorite cup and sit in a favorite spot, switch it up. Switch it up. Think about where you're going to sit. Think about what cup you want. When you drive, if you go somewhere routinely every day, switch up the way you do that. Everything that you do in your daily rut, switch it up. Because once again, like I mentioned in a previous video, your body becomes habitualized to certain chemicals. Well, your body is becoming habitualized to certain behaviors. And those behaviors are going to stimulate certain feelings. Those feelings are going to trigger up through the heart. The heart's going to send messages up to the brain, and the brain is going to send signals back into the body to continue that flow of same chemistry. Wake up. I tell everybody, we need to wake up. All right? So that's my tip for today. I want you all to go out and make it a good one and take really good care of yourselves.